Clarity Clinical Solutions.
Why do drug companies run clinical trials all over the world? You might see a trial in Boston, another in Beijing, another in Brazil. There is a reason for that, and it is not just about saving money. Welcome to Clinical Research Explained by Clarity Clinical Solutions. 3 main reasons. First, speed. Recruiting patients in multiple countries simultaneously enrolls trials months faster than single-country trials. Second, diversity. Different populations may respond differently to drugs. A trial in only one country does not show how a drug works across ethnic groups. Third, cost. Running trials in some countries is significantly less expensive, making drug development more affordable. About 80% of FDA-approved drugs include data from clinical trials conducted outside the United States. Where do global trials happen? Historically, most clinical research was concentrated in the US and Western Europe. Today, Eastern Europe, Asia, and Latin America have become major trial locations. China, India, and Poland are among the most popular destinations. Africa remains underrepresented in clinical research, less than 10% of global trials occur there, despite 17% of the world's population. That is slowly changing as investment in infrastructure grows. Developed countries versus developing countries, the trade-offs. Developed countries have established regulatory agencies and rigorous standards, but trials are expensive and enrollment can be slow due to competing studies. Developing countries offer lower costs, 40 to 60% less per patient, and faster enrollment because there are fewer trials competing for patients. But they may have less mature regulatory systems, weaker infrastructure, and higher ethical risks. Sponsors must balance cost and speed against regulatory risk and ethical responsibility. Running trials across borders introduces significant complexity. First, regulatory complexity. Each country has its own approval process, ethics requirements, and reporting standards. Sponsors must track and comply with multiple regulatory systems simultaneously, sometimes 20+ countries in a single trial. Second, ethical concerns including risk of exploitation in low-income countries, different standards of care, and language barriers in informed consent. Third, data quality challenges. Different labs use different equipment, and language barriers affect data entry. A centralized data management system is essential. Let's weigh the benefits against the challenges. Benefits: faster enrollment, diverse data that applies to more populations, cost efficiency, and results that regulators in multiple countries accept. Challenges: navigating multiple regulatory systems, maintaining consistent data quality across sites, ethical risks of exploitation in vulnerable populations, and uncertainty about post-trial access to treatment. The ICH E6 guideline provides the ethical and scientific framework to balance these trade-offs, but the tension between speed and ethics never fully goes away. The International Council for Harmonization, ICH, is the organization working to standardize clinical trial regulations globally. It was founded in 1990 by the US, EU, and Japan. In 1996, the ICH E6 Good Clinical Practice Guideline was published, now the most widely adopted clinical trial standard in the world. In 2015, the ICH expanded to include 57 member countries. And in 2023, the modernized ICH E6 R3 guideline was released. Harmonization does not mean identical regulations, it means core ethical and scientific standards are aligned, making it easier for regulators to accept data from trials anywhere in the world. Globalization raises difficult ethical questions. First, the standard of care issue. When a trial is run in a low-income country, is it ethical to give a placebo if effective treatment exists in the sponsor's home country but is not available locally? This is one of the most debated topics in research ethics. Second, informed consent across cultures. Participants may speak different languages or come from cultures where agreeing with a doctor is expected. A signature on a translated form does not always mean genuine understanding. The Declaration of Helsinki requires that research be responsive to the health needs of the host community. How do sponsors choose which countries to include? 4 key factors. First, disease prevalence. The condition must be common enough in that population to recruit fast. Second, the regulatory environment. Countries with faster approval timelines for clinical trials are prioritized. Third, research infrastructure. Qualified investigators, accredited labs, and reliable systems are non-negotiable. And fourth, cost. All else being equal, sponsors choose countries where trials are more affordable. The balance of these 4 factors determines where a trial goes. ICH standards versus local regulations. Harmonization doesn't mean identical. The ICH provides a unified framework for ethics review, informed consent, adverse event reporting, and data management. But each country adds its own local requirements. In Europe, the GDPR affects how patient data is handled. In China, the Personal Information Protection Law, or PIPL, restricts data transfers. In the US, HIPAA governs health information privacy. Sponsors must design protocols that meet both ICH standards and the most restrictive local requirement across all their trial countries. The COVID-19 pandemic was a case study in what global clinical research can achieve. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccine trials enrolled over 40,000 participants each across 4 continents and dozens of countries, all in under 6 months. Regulatory agencies globally coordinated their reviews, ethics committees expedited approvals, and sponsors activated sites worldwide simultaneously. The global approach was essential for both speed and for demonstrating effectiveness across diverse populations. The pandemic proved that when necessary, clinical research can move at remarkable speed through global coordination. What does the future hold for global clinical trials? First, new regions. We will see more trials in Africa and Southeast Asia as infrastructure and regulatory capacity improve. Second, decentralized trials. Participants can join from home using telemedicine, wearables, and local labs. This reduces the need for physical sites and makes globalization even more accessible. Third, artificial intelligence. AI helps manage complexity, predicting recruitment, automating data quality checks, and identifying safety signals across languages and regions. But the ethical challenges remain and require ongoing attention as trials reach into new communities. 3 key takeaways. First, global is the standard. About 80% of FDA-approved drugs include data from trials outside the US. Running trials across borders is how modern drug development works. Second, ethics must lead. Every country added to a trial must meet the same ethical standards for informed consent, independent review, and post-trial access. Speed and cost must never compromise ethics. Third, regulatory harmonization through ICH makes globalization possible, but local regulations still matter. Success requires navigating both global standards and local requirements simultaneously. So why do clinical trials happen in different countries? 3 reasons: speed, diversity, and practicality. Faster enrollment across multiple countries simultaneously. Better understanding of how drugs work across different populations. And more efficient use of global research infrastructure. But it comes with real challenges: regulatory complexity, ethical concerns, and data quality management across borders. Understanding this globalization helps us appreciate how today's clinical trials, and the drugs they produce, are truly international efforts. Thank you for watching Clinical Research Explained by Clarity Clinical Solutions.